The Walking Dead was a humongous hit for AMC, but the commercial success of it was really a turning point for the show that it never really looked back on or recovered from. See, during the making of Season 1, AMC did not like the budget they had to use for the show, as $3.4 million per episode was too expensive for them. Thus, for the next season, seeing as how they had complete creative control, they decided to up the episode count to 13 and cut the budget to $2.7 million, a major loss on both ends, as now these writers will have to make something up for this rather cheap season. And this clearly had an effect on Frank Darabont, as he had either written or co-written 4 out of Season 1's 6 episodes. He was a major part of this show and why it was so successful. I mean, seriously, this dude wrote and directed The Shawshank Redemption. You don't make him deal with less money and more episodes. Frank couldn't deal with this, as neither could several cast members who are conveniently the ones to die in this season or next. But even with this massive blow, Frank Darabont still tried and even ended up co-writing the pilot episode for the second season. But boy, was there a massive dip in quality, and you could tell Frank was fighting AMC to try and keep some of the best parts of the first season afloat. However, things all changed after Comic-Con in 2011 as, just a few days after that, Frank was fired. With no other company to stop them, AMC could continue with ruining this franchise before it even got to the mainstream status it would later achieve. Essentially kicked off the show after laying the foundation and not being paid properly, Frank set out with some sort of compensation in mind. However, AMC were reluctant to say they were guilty of any wrongdoing, and it would take until 2021 for them to receive $200 million in future royalty payments. A large amount, but one they could have easily avoided had they not screwed him out of his show and lied about there being a third-party company to produce it, wherein he would gain a license fee of 12.5%. This never even happened as, going as far back as producing the scripts for the first season, AMC revealed that there was no other studio and it was solely them, and they had to make the show with just them. This never happened with Breaking Bad, another AMC show, as Lionsgate was also involved. And with everything else you've heard, the lesson you need to learn is, don't work for AMC unless you know another third-party studio will be there too, and a good one at that. And it sucks because reading this, the creator of Mad Men actually got what he wanted, hence why seasons 5 through 7 saw an increase of praise and viewership, which is also another AMC show in case you didn't know. The season 4 did too, but there was still probably an increase in quality for that season while they were fighting. The main point is, other people got to win, but Frank got to be kicked out of his own show. And gone were his prequel ideas, like the one with the tank zombie and the Black Hawk Down sort of scenario, one with Dale, Andrea, and Amy showing their bond, and other non-prequel ideas. Gone was Frank's vision for a show in a well-paced and well-shot manner, filled with intelligent decisions for mostly everyone, bar some mistakes in the writing or effects, but nothing really that bad. But no matter, we have others totally equally as good as the Shawshank Redemption writer and director to work with on this show, and it was nearly as good. No, not even close. I mean, I made that abundantly clear, but let's get into it. Episode 1, What Lies Ahead, starts with the group leaving the CDC, or what's left of it, with Rick trying to contact Morgan. Should have also contacted whoever did the green screen, because wow, it looks bad. Wonder why. However, I do believe this is the last time Rick talks to Morgan on the radio, at least for a while, which will come to have dire consequences. They continue going on the road, down to a traffic jam wherein they raid for supplies.
This is a graveyard.
Yeah, duh? Nobody in the cars needs the supplies considering they're all dead. You all need gas to continue to go at Fort Benning. Whatever, she changes her mind as they scavenge the supplies while Dale keeps watch. But I guess he took that as keep looking at his watch, because holy hell, there's like a bazillion zombies now. Don't know how they all just appeared out of thin air, especially since you guys were driving for a while and there's plenty of dead people in the cars. Just make them the zombies. Maybe have some of them be weak but still make noise, attracting some others in the woods or something. Anything less stupid than this. However, we do get a half-decent scene of them evading the zombies as one joins Andrea in the RV, with her using a screwdriver to kill it. However, it's also during this time that T-Dog massively cuts his arm in such a way where he would definitely get spotted by every zombie and also bleed out and die. But what do you know, he lives by Daryl putting a dead person on top of him. Sure, not just like they'll eat the dead non-zombified person and then T-Dog, but whatever. The zombie horde seems to pass, but one gets Sophia, Carol's daughter, out from hiding under a car and into the woods. Quite literally the worst place to go considering there are around 10 capable people near you that can help. Rick follows her into the woods and tells her to stay someplace safe. Why not just go with her? You're a grown adult facing 2 zombies. Can you not do that? This, of course, leads to Sophia going missing, and the entire plot for the first half of the season, plot that when you uncover what happens, makes you question why you watched the season in the first place, or even the show. The others continue going through the cars as Carl finds some weapons, which will be pretty useful, not using ammo at the very least. During this combo, Shane tells Lori that he plans to leave, which is actually the smart thing to do. He's obviously a threat. But Lori gets mad that he's not interacting, which is not the smart thing to do. He's obviously a threat. Rick and Daryl have been looking for Sophia but return to the others without her, causing Carol to get mad at Rick. I also love how this whole scene looks like a bad night filter on iMovie. Seriously cheap. Wonder why. They all eventually reach a church, and this is a slow-paced scene that is actually good. It's not repetitive or stupid or repeating a point or conversation we've seen before. It's Rick's faith being tested and further continuing the sort of deconstruction of his character to see how he adapts to each situation and see what he believes after each one. It's the same with Carol, who's beginning her transformation from abused housewife into a badass ready to step up and do what's necessary. It's all very interesting.
Maybe it's just indifference.
Hey, that's an episode of The Walking Dead.
Hey, look, I don't need all the answers. Just a little nudge, a sign. Any sign will do.
Well, there's your sign. Your son's dead and now the show's gonna get a whole lot better. Oh, yeah. Context. Shane goes to shoot a deer, but Rick wants Carl to get real up close and personal, potentially scaring their food away, and then he gets shot. Nice. And that ends Episode 1. Episode 2, Bloodletting, isn't exactly a whole lot better, if at all better. It starts with a flashback showing that Lori was always insufferable.
He was trying so hard to be reasonable, it just pushed my buttons all the more.
What? I guess if we got more context and saw that him being reasonable was him being a pushover or spineless husband and always agreeing with her, that could make some sense and provide some more to his character arc of him finally making the hard decisions even quicker. But no, Lori's just an asshole. She meets up with her to tell the news that Rick got shot and is in a coma, and she immediately tells Carl, maybe wait until you're at home or in the car, not in front of his classmates. However, after the intro, we get a really good scene of Rick desperately holding on to Carl, whom he thinks he might have just lost, into the farm where most of the season takes place. Shane is there too and tells the guy who shot Carl and the deer, Otis, don't worry, he's not an asshole, he's actually a pretty good guy. Rick takes Carl inside the farm, or more so the house part of the farm, where we also meet Hershel, his daughters Maggie and Beth, Patricia, who's Otis's wife, and Jimmy, Beth's boyfriend. Hershel gets straight to work as the other characters are walking through the woods, until Maggie comes in with a bat, a weapon I doubt she'll ever use again. I don't know why, just a feeling. Shane and Otis also decide to go to the high school nearby to get a respirator. Gonna be honest, this whole episode is mostly filler, beyond getting the supplies to save Carl, setting up the farm and showing Shane as a psychopath. It's really not much that couldn't be condensed. However, I do like the scenes with Dale and T-Dog, the latter of which being criminally underused. It makes for some fun banter in developing the characters. It makes these boring stretches just a tiny bit more bearable.
We've gone off the deep end. I mean it, man. Why we on the side of this road like live bait?
Shane and Otis reach the high school but end up having to barricade themselves in as the episode ends. Episode 3, Save the Last One, continues with the surgery, with Hershel needing the equipment, else Carl will die, while Shane and Otis are stuck at the school. Some more, the group reaches the farm, wherein Glenn tries praying for the first time, only to have his first convo with Maggie, wherein they talk about religion in regards to the apocalypse. Back with Shane and Otis, they both have limps, but instead of continually running, or more so walking, Shane decides to shoot Otis and fight for a while, wasting precious time while these slow-ass zombies just linger in the background. Dude, stop wasting time. Otis dies as Shane returns to the farm with the necessary equipment, but says Otis sacrificed himself to save him and Carl, but this clearly has an effect on Shane as he shaves his head as the episode ends. Episode 4, Cherokee Rose, is where the show starts to get really boring, but for the sake of this video not being too short, I'll go a little more in depth on these episodes. The episode starts with the others coming, so now the whole group is finally here. Wow, that took a while. Carl's also feeling better and Rick lies that Sophia is okay. We later get a funeral for Otis wherein Shane has to lie about his final moments.
He died in grace.
If by in grace you mean inside the tummy of several zombies, then sure. They all talk about finding Sophia and Maggie mentions running to a pharmacy for supplies.
See our man there in the baseball cap? That's Glenn, our go-to-town expert.
I think she meant something different than that.
Hey, you're fast on your feet and know how to get in and out.
Phrasing. Either way, it doesn't matter, because the well's contaminated with a zombie in it. Don't know how since there's fences and it seems kinda hard to do so, but whatever. Everyone starts wondering how to get it out without it contaminating the well, which is stupid because it already has. It's in the well, that's reason enough. There's 4 other wells around the farm, you can make do. Back with Hershel and Rick, they admire the continually bad green screen effects and discuss religion, how God was helping Rick during the coma. This is a reoccurring theme throughout the show, as it's quite biblical and religious, and I think it adds some nice food for thought for the show, so that's nice. But no matter, the well group sends Glenn down, and of course stuff goes wrong. Wow, almost like doing stupid shit garners stupid results. Glenn and Maggie go to the pharmacy, wherein Maggie finds him with some condoms by accident. She then suggests they have sex, which I totally agree with. I would love to see, oh never mind. They return and Glenn gives some abortion pills to Lori, because that inappropriate behavior she and Shane were doing, yeah, she's pregnant because of it. Back in the house, Carl wakes up again and is feeling better. Rick uses his time to reveal that Sophie is actually missing, but no matter, Lori already said so. Lori is also pregnant, as it's revealed in the test in case you thought I was lying, as the episode ends. Episode 5, Chupacabra, is more of the same, repetitive conversations with very little plot progression. However, we do get a cool flashback showing Shane taking care of the others right before Atlanta got carpet bombed by the military. In the present, the group talks while Jimmy, remember him, finally talks and is engaged in a conversation. Don't expect this much because just doesn't happen a lot. They discuss searching and also preparing the others to shoot a gun. And, how to shoot guns. Glenn and Maggie talk, however it's not much of note, but Hershel doesn't seem to love how close he is to Maggie. He expresses this to Rick, who engages in a rather pointless discussion about their lack of communication. Really? What did this add to the script? Literally nothing. You could tell they really didn't know how to stretch out this first half of the season and end up doing stuff like this. With the next season, there's at least more story, but that season has problems of its own. Daryl's been having his own adventure, getting insulted by a dream version of Merle. Pretty good scene actually, and it does kind of progress the plot, if not at least giving us some more Michael Rooker. However, it gets ruined by him waking up to a zombie just biting his shoe. Wow, guess his dummy can't tell blood for the leather. He gets out in just in time for Andrea to see him. The others also see him and think he's a zombie, and decide to idiotically get closer to him and try to kill him themselves. Thought you guys wanted to give the others gun practice, but okay. Andrea then decides it's a bright idea to try and shoot the person who they're trying to kill themselves, knocking out Daryl. Great job, Andrea, just so smart. While he's recovering, the rest have dinner while Glenn and Maggie prepare to have sex again. However, he chose the barn, where there's zombies, and thus ends the episode with a cliffhanger. Episode 6, Secrets, is another damn filler episode. Hell, Carl's completely fine, but Maggie talks to Glenn to not talk about the zombies in the barn, as Hershel believes they are still people and can be cured. However, this lasts all of 5 minutes as he tells Dale about the barn and Lori's pregnancy because we need some sort of plot progression. The others try gun training, and while it gets important, maybe teach ways that don't eat up ammo as much as this. Just a thought in the apocalypse. Dale talks to Hershel, and I'm gonna be honest, wish we got more of this. If we're gonna get stretched out conversations with little to no plot, can we at least have some uniqueness to them, like having different characters talk? You know, these character development scenes are supposed to actually develop them, not just repeat things with the same characters. So I'll give the scene that. It's a little different characters talking to each other about the morality of zombies in the barn, but I don't love this idea of you've been shielded from the rest of the world and what's happened that gets repeated an annoying amount of times throughout the show is not a very compelling argument. Sure, it works once, but after that we've already heard it. Try something new. And I doubt Hershel's been shielded off from the rest of the world. He seems very understanding of what's going on. I also question why Dale never brings up the CDC and what he saw. Dr. Edwin Jenner literally explains how there's not people. There's zombies. They're not actually people. They're completely gone. This is why I kind of wish he survived and didn't blow up. He would have solved a lot of problems earlier. Shane tries teaching Andrea to shoot and even mentions her dead sister as an idea. Didn't say it was a good one because it wasn't, causing her to storm off. Lori and Rick argue about Hershel wanting them to leave.
I don't understand how you could keep something like this from me.
That is so fucking rich coming from you. Shane finds Andrea and suspiciously offers her to take her under the idea that they found a place Sophia may be hiding in. Glenn and Maggie go off to the pharmacy where a zombie attacks her, and this causes her entire worldview to be shattered and believe that zombies aren't people. Okay. While Shane and Andrea come across a town, Maggie and Glenn return with Maggie freaking out about abortion pills, and even though I don't think she knows she was cheating on Rick, that Lori was cheating on Rick, not Maggie, and she didn't cause the zombie to attack you, so, okay. Back with Shane and Andrea, they walk through the town. Now, despite this aforementioned town being dead silent and abandoned, somehow 100 zombies show up and surround Shane and Andrea. They get out with Andrea getting headshots, which later gives her the shot to give Shane head. Just kidding, they full-blown fuck in the car, while for all they know, Sophia's just running from zombies still. Nice. Lori tries taking the abortion pills, but vomits them out, and I gotta be honest, I kinda feel bad for her. Yes, she's annoying and pawns her kid off to everyone and slept with someone other than her husband, but Shane has clearly taken advantage of her and she's in a tough spot. I can't fully hate her, but I also don't like her. Rick eventually confronts her about everything as Dale confronts Shane about shooting Otis and being a threat to Rick and the others, causing this to happen.
Say, I'm the kind of man who gunned down his own best friend. What'd you think I'd do to some guy that I don't even like?
Yeah. Dude is petrified. The conversation with Rick and Lori comes to a head as Rick reveals he knows about her and Shane doing it as the episode ends. Episode 7, Pretty Much Dead Already, is the first episode with any real weight. Hell, even the opening matters. Remember how little I talked about them? This one is everyone learning that the barn is full of zombies and getting into an argument about what to do. It has real weight and finally makes the season interesting.
The barn's full of walkers.
Wow, what a wonderful sound effect. Please never implement it again. Rick and Hershel go to capture some zombies and bring them back to the barn, where this will somehow work. Doubt it. The others go storming into the barn and kill all the zombies as Zombie Sophia walks out, making the entirety of the season so far pointless. She's been dead the whole time, ugh. Carol and the others freak out as the episode ends. Episode 8, Nebraska, starts with everyone spending 10 minutes recapping what we just saw, which I guess works when you split the season in two and make us wait a couple of months in between episodes 7 and 8. Beth gets attacked by one of the zombies before Andrea kills it. Shane gets mad at Hershel for hiding the barn of zombies, who I guess didn't know how to put the zombies in the barn. Otis did, so yeah. How is Hershel and Rick gonna put them in the barn? Shane gets mad at Rick for not seeing how delusional keeping zombies in a barn is, and oh, there he is, scratching his head, which is a weirdly reoccurring thing throughout the season. And another reoccurring thing is, during the intro, whenever Shane shows up, the theme gets more sinister and dark, almost to show how this character's goals are much darker than what they seem. He's essentially what the group will become in Season 5, but this inevitably, and sorta ironically, leads to his death. Shane gets into his truck and somehow manages to get pissed off by Dale just being there. The others discuss what happened, but the only real thing of note is that Hershel disappears and Beth falls into a catatonic shock. They find Hershel's old flask that he gave up and figures out he had an old bar and leave in a car. Dale talks to Lori about how Shane obviously killed Otis and sacrificed him and how he's crazy. Now, I know everyone says Shane was ahead of the curve, and to some extent he was, but I think Dale was too. He knew how the world was going to shit and how people like Shane will end up getting people killed, which is true. When Rick became like him, he got people killed. Mostly bad people, yes, but eventually it led to Abraham and Glenn's death with his cockiness and attitude that he can do whatever he wants, no matter what the cost is. He realized this, and while not thinking Rick would do it, he still foreshadowed it and knew it. I know people can find Dale annoying, and I agree, but that's only to an extent. It's very rare he's annoying, and like with Shane, it's only because it's so early on. Had it been later, he would be echoing exactly what the audience, and even the characters like Tyrese, would be feeling. Back in the car with Rick and Glenn, the two talk about Maggie loving him and how it's clear to everyone how she feels. And funnily enough, I think this is one of the last times they really talk. In Season 3, they only occasionally talk, with them having a real full discussion around Episode 9 or 10, after the attack on Woodbury to bring him and Maggie back. And in Season 4, they barely talk. It's weird that the guy who saved Rick barely talks to him after this season. They continue talking, and that's nice and all, but please don't point that gun in your face, Glenn. It's gonna get destroyed in Season 7 anyways. Don't damage it anymore.
We're practically strangers.
They find Hershel and talk, with him having a different point of view after the barn incident. He now sees these things as a threat, which is nice. Actual character development. He's realized that he wasn't in the right believing these things to be humans, which would have happened a lot sooner had you just told him about the CDC. Lori grows impatient since there's plot development happening, and she's not there, and ends up making the totally smart decision of driving a car without actually looking. Okay. Back at the bar, two guys arrive who were in a 30-man group who try to follow the others back to their house. They quickly become a threat, and I gotta say, this scene is actually good. It serves a purpose and leads to some consequences later on, and even now, showing Rick actually killing a person, more specifically two, and showing Hershel just how lucky he is that he has someone like Rick. However, one thing I'd like to mention is this.
A new rumor about a way out of this thing. The latest was a rail yard in Montgomery running trains to the middle of the country, Kansas, Nebraska.
They actually sort of foreshadow the Terminus arc with the railroads, because, you know, their whole base of operations is a train station, so yeah, that's nice. The episode ends with Shane, T-Dog, and Andrea burning the zombies from the barn. Episode 9, Triggerfinger, continues the trend of really only having a few scenes advance the plot, and thus I'll be skimming over much of this episode. Lori's still in that car crash, but she manages to get out. Meanwhile, some of the 30-man group arrives and learns that their friends were killed by Rick and the gang and ends up firing on them. Rick tries to reason with them, but ends up firing on them too, saving one while letting another die. Meanwhile, Shane saves Lori and brings her in under the promise that Rick and the others are back. However, when they return, she learns that it's false and everyone learns of her pregnancy. The others end up returning and bringing the other person with them, who's Randall, as Glenn distances himself from Maggie, citing her as the reason he couldn't help in the shootout with the others. T-Dog decides to finally talk some more as he's painfully underutilized, so are most of the farm residents. Maggie and Hershel talk, with Beth still in the catatonic shock, also a coma, with her eyes just wide open. Pretty sure that's how blurry vision and dry eyes occur. Don't know why nobody's trying to close them. Shane and Andrea talk about Randall and what to do with him, and Lori talks to Rick about how Shane is a danger, with the episode ending. Episode 10, 18 Miles Out, is where the show's pacing really takes off and makes for a much more compelling episode. We still have that boring subplot with Beth in her life, wherein she tries killing herself, which is obviously a horrible thing and should never be done, but since I don't know about this character, I don't care about this character. She does get better later throughout. However, the subplot with Rick, Shane, and Randall is actually quite interesting. The moral dilemma of what to do with Randall, while being pretty stupid since he and his 30-man group that strangely never shows up in the show are a threat, it still makes for something interesting. Their discussion continually leads to Shane not trusting Rick, especially since Lori is pregnant and because she for some stupid reason told him this, Shane now believes it's his. Which it is, but maybe don't mention that at all since he's clearly a maniac in love with you and protecting Carl and wants to kill Rick. Hell, the two even get in a fight over all of this and manage to conveniently awaken some zombies that I guess were just resting in a building nearby. Sure. This leads to them splitting up, with Rick having to shoot a bunch of zombies and Randall getting free. The two save Shane and head home, and while it may seem like another inconsequential scene, one, at least it gave us some action, and two, it further cements Shane as a threat to Rick. They return with Shane seeing the lone zombie, likely not an actual zombie, but to show how distant he is from the actual group. The music's nice, the scene's nice, and his actual weight. Wow, it's like we're watching a real TV show. They continue driving back as the lone zombie wanders as the episode ends. Episode 11, Judge, Jury, Executioner, is again another episode where stuff is happening. I mean, hell, they got here on day 67 and it's day 81. It's been 2 weeks of them being on the farm. Shit's bound to happen. It's just taken too long. Daryl interrogates Randall, who reveals a group as 30 people, like I said before, and is also basically a bunch of rapists. Yeah, should have killed him, Rick. Or hell, even let Shane kill him. Though it'd be interesting if they had ended up making Randall a good guy, like a surprise series regular up until season 6 or something. I don't know. It'd be a break from every new character dying or being underutilized. However, he's just obviously a threat that needs to be taken out, and for once I disagree with Dale's opinion, as he's against this. I don't think he knows who Randall or his group truly are and how they act, so I'll give him that, but I disagree with him for once. But he does have a good point in a way. This group has lost its humanity and would never really fully recover. Although, can't you guys just have Dale talk to Randall and figure out how, on his own, how much of an obvious threat he is? Despite this, Dale is still a likable character. It's just a shame that earlier in the episode, Carl decided to be a moron and try to shoot a zombie, only for it to break free because he took so long. Idiot. While the group is planning to execute Randall, Dale goes free and finds a horrifically mangled cow and a horrifically mangled set of events. So you couldn't see the zombie that was behind you? How did you not see it as you were walking across the field? I know it's dark, but it's not pitch black. Also, how's a zombie that was once stuck in mud and not able to kill a kid, able to kill a full-grown man? Either way, the group finds Dale bleeding out, and Daryl gives a rather unsympathetic goodbye to him.
Sorry, brother.
Great, what a shitty way to kill off this character, ending the episode. Episode 12, Better Angels, is where the show really makes the huge consequential decisions along with the next and final episode, as it's the one where Shane goes full crazy and kills Randall. Rick, Daryl, and Glenn go searching along with Shane, but conveniently Rick splits them into two groups so Shane can be along with Rick and lead him to a hill where he plans to kill him. Pretty stupid plan, how's it going to work if nobody wanted to split up? And Shane decides to have a speech about whether he's going to kill him instead of just actually killing him. However, it's actually a pretty memorable speech, so I'll give him that. I do have to commend the writers for Shane's character, as he's a pretty good first human antagonist to an extent. He makes some stupid decisions like this, but he's overall pretty menacing and not outright evil, as he has some reason for what he's doing. He's been taking care of this group for 50-ish days, and just for Rick to take it over and make some pretty poor choices, ends up leading him to do this. It all makes sense, but not enough for him to be the good guy, as he is still evil. Rick lowers Shane's guard using his cop skills, which is ironic since Shane is a cop, and ends up killing him. A pretty influential moment in Rick's life. This is one of the first big events that leads to him being murdered by Rick. However, during this, Daryl and Glenn have found Randall's body and see he turned into a zombie, but there's no bite mark. Back with Rick, Carl shows up with his father, looking pretty suspicious, and aims the gun at him, but he ends up actually shooting zombified Shane, which is bizarre because he was never bitten. We'll get to this. The episode ends on that note. Episode 13, Besides the Dying Fire, is the last episode, and one where we get to see zombies be an actual threat and get some cool stunts. The zombies in the city have also been lured up by helicopters. Don't know if these ones are CRM as well, but okay. Meaning that the cities are basically okay at this point. Might as well move into them. They reach the farm after hearing Shane be shot and storm the farm, setting off a cascade of events. Rick and Carl get into a barn while the others barricade themselves. Rick and Carl seem dead until Jimmy comes to the rescue in Dale's RV, saving their lives and getting brutally murdered and forgotten about for his efforts. Nice. Glenn and Daryl start shooting the zombies as Hershel loads his infinite ammo shotgun, which he curiously never uses again. Patricia also gets killed. Remember her? People begin leaving as Andrea gets left behind under some zombies. Everyone leaves as Hershel laments over his farm's loss. They get on the highway and wonder what to do until the others arrive. Daryl asks Rick how Randall could have died without a bite, which prompts Rick to reveal what Dr. Edwin Jenner said last season's finale, that everyone is infected because of wildfire virus. Sure. So all those people at the beginning of the season and their cars just died because of head trauma or something to the brain so they wouldn't turn? Okay, weird. The talk at night wherein Rick reveals his plan for a dictatorship, a Rick-tatorship if you will, as the season ends with a surprise reveal of the prison in Season 3. And that was The Walking Dead Season 2. It's far too long, basically every complaint has ever been said, by me or others at this point, but I do enjoy its nostalgic qualities and outlooks. It has its fun or scary moments and introduces some cool characters, but it feels too bloated and messy for it to be fully enjoyed. If you like this video, you can like and subscribe to see when my new videos come out and show your support. It's nice to see new people come in and like my videos, and I hope you do. You can follow me on Instagram or TikTok and see what I post there. It's mostly unrelated stuff, but some is connected to this, mostly my TikTok. Mainly my TikTok, so there's that. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.